Hi everyone, this is the Blackboard tour video for History 162, Women and History for the summer of 2020. This video is going to be like 10-ish minutes. It's just to kind of walk you through where to find everything so that you can kind of get started right away. Like I said in the welcome and in the syllabus, we move pretty quickly, so I wanted to make sure you know exactly where you can find everything and that you're ready to go. So, the landing page for our Blackboard site is going to be the announcements page. As you can see, I've got Pocahontas, I've got some suffragettes, I've got Fannie Lou Hamer, I've got some super cool astronauts, and so that's just our little banner thing. But the announcements is where you'll land, and as you can see, here's the announcement that you received the very first day of class, Monday, May 18th. It's got the welcome video in it, it's got the things that you need to start doing, including watching this video. So, you know, good job. Alright, so that's announcements. Now, if we go to the syllabus tab, here's the syllabus right here. It's also in the assignments. We'll get to that in a minute. And the student acknowledgement form. So you don't have to print this out. You don't have to email this to me. All you have to do is mark it reviewed. If you click this, after you read it, that's basically telling me, yep, I read this. I'm good. So read the syllabus, read the student acknowledgement form, and then mark them reviewed. Okay? Now if we go to the My Instructor tab, this is going to have more information before you actually look at it on the first day of class. It'll have my Google Voice phone number, it'll have the virtual office hours and the link for that, and all that happy stuff. So, but this is me, look, it's me, and as you can tell from the videos that you've seen of me, this was a little while ago. This was actually, I didn't realize it until I started talking about it, but this is all the way back in 2011. I went to a wedding, and you can tell that I don't have children yet because I'm well rested. So that is from a while ago. I'll need to update that. So the assignments tab is where you're going to find everything. And as mentioned in that welcome video, the presentation, because we have floating, due dates throughout the semester depending on which presentation figure you pick, I put the presentation at the very top of the announcements page, or sorry, the assignments page, because everybody's going to submit theirs at different times in the semester. So it's just right up there at the top, so when it's time for you to submit your presentation, rock on, go for it. I will attach the instructions to this as well. This is the sign-up sheet. So if you click on that, any of you can edit this. This is for people who have the link, which is you guys, everybody in the class, all you folks. And so the presentation date is the date that the presentation is due. It needs to be turned in. And just as we go through the semester, there are all kinds of different women that you can present on. So you will go through the list, see who you're interested in. Mary Boykin Chestnut, for example, is a very famous Confederate woman. Rose Greenhow was a spy. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was a suffragette, and she also wanted liberalized divorce laws for women. Alice Paul is the author of the ERA in 1923. Frances Perkins, she was the Secretary of Labor under FDR. So you've got all kinds of different people here, and some of them you may have heard of, some of them you may have not. I encourage you to take a look, maybe pick somebody you're less familiar with, do a quick Google search and see if they're interesting to you and if you would like to do a presentation on them. So that's that list. So what you'll do is you'll type in your name, your full name, or at least your last name as it appears on the roster, and maybe a middle, first initial or whatever. The survey that you've got to do, I'll show you that in a minute, has, you can tell me the name that you go by, so you can do that with your last name if you would like, on whoever you want to present on. So all kinds of interesting people. And if we go back to the assignments page, so that's at the top, and you'll also see here when this is, when you look at it on Monday, you'll see the instructions for how to do the presentation. It's got links on how to do narration and all that good stuff, and I'm also available to answer any questions after you've read those instructions. So, I'm sure you're looking at this like, wow, you're a super nerd. Yes, that's right, I am. And it's very organized because that's just how I like to live my life. And It drives other people in my house crazy. So if we click on week 1, for example, you've got the housekeeping items. This is that welcome section that I was referring to. It's got the welcome video, the syllabus and Blackboard tours, which the Blackboard tour I'm making right now, so it'll be in here when you click on it. And the syllabus tour that hopefully you watched already. This is a survey that'll open in a new tab. You'll start that. This is just a way for me to get to know you better, so please do that. Here's the syllabus again. Here's the presentation figures and dates sheet again if you want to take a look at it before opening the one that you edit in that link I showed you. This is writing an annotated bibliography. This also appears under the week where the annotated bibliography is due, and it just shows you how to do that. We'll look at that in a second. And a link to the National Women's History Museum. It's part of the Smithsonian Institution in DC. This is just for you to peruse and look at, and if there's a topic that interests you, or if you're picking a figure, you might want to see if there's anything on her in the museum. So just for you to look at. There's nothing required there. It's just really something extra that you can check out if you want. So let's look at the reading breakdown first. Okay, so as you can see, this is laid out a lot like the Blackboard shell. Alright, so as I mentioned, we have one virtual meeting / one discussion board for week 1 this week. And that virtual meeting will take place on Wednesday. The discussion boards are always due on Fridays. And here is everything. So the introduction, the things you need to do, this is what you're going to read, the prologue for Feminism Unfinished. There's an article, BB means Blackboard. There's an article that you'll read on there. And that's the first part. The second part is when we're really going to get into stuff, and that's going to be Theta Purdue, Columbus meets Pocahontas in the American South, and Juliana Barr, A Diplomacy of Gender, Rituals of First Contact in the Land of the Tejas. And these two women are super prominent Native historians and gender historians, so I hope you enjoy their stuff. So those 2 articles are the second part of that first week. But then as you go through, you'll see, oh look, readings will be divided, so not everybody's going to read all the things in here. Okay, so it's going to be split up a little bit. And then at week 2, you see the first section of paragraphs is due, right? So as you go through, everything is laid out. So this is that Tuesday, or the part 1 of week 2, where you're going to have discussion boards. If you're doing the discussion boards, you'll have discussion board week 2 part 1, week 2 part 2. So week 2 part 1 covers all the stuff under this first day. Week 2 part 2 covers all the stuff under this day. So like I said, remember, keep an eye on what's due, right? You'll have if you do the discussion board option for both days, for both parts of that week, you'll have 2 decently sized discussion boards, and you'll have a group paragraph that you'll need to do that Friday. So keep an eye on your time and manage that well. And yeah, we just keep on scrolling, just going through. And it just goes all the way. So a note on week 4, yes, that's me. It's never my intent to assign my own stuff. That's not really, I'm not trying to be like, look, I'm fancy. That's not what this is about. I wanted to talk about revolutionary manhood because we're talking about revolutionary womanhood as well, and I thought it would be cool to kind of compare the two. And unless you wanted to read a whole book, this was kind of the best reading for it because it's really condensed and it's like 25 to 30 pages instead of 100 and something pages. So, and the discussion board questions and the virtual discussion questions welcome any and all critique and criticism of my arguments. So please don't feel like you have to agree with everything I say because it's something I wrote. We're going to treat it just like any other scholarship, and you can totally tear it apart if that is something that you have evidence to do. So I have no problem with it. Please be honest in your assessment of the arguments in that reading, just like you would in any other reading. Yeah, so that's it. We're going to go through, let's see, Thavolia Glimpse. She's an excellent historian on enslaved women, and her book, Out of the House of Bondage, is one I would highly recommend. She has amazing evidence that she's found and put together. So we're going to read a little bit, a small article from her. So lots and lots of stuff. As you can see, it goes through different paragraph assignments. You don't have any paragraph assignments in weeks 4 and 5. Week 5 is when your annotated bibliography is going to be due. Week 6, you got some paragraph stuff. Week 7 is when the research paper is due. And then you see, again, sections will be divided. So there are 3 sections of Feminism Unfinished assigned for week 8, part 1. That'll be broken into thirds. And then these are broken up as well. So you won't read all of these things. So don't worry. Yeah, and then the readings will be divided. So it's just because there's so much to talk about, it's kind of impossible to, not. So, and by noon on the last day is when your group analysis will be due. More on that in a little bit. So this is, at the time that I record this, which is Wednesday, May 13th, this is not totally finished yet because I, like a total ding-dong, was sent a book with all these cool articles on women's history that I was like, oh, this will be way more comprehensive and inclusive. Maybe I should take like 16 of these and add them and subtract other things and redo stuff, because that's always a good idea. But I like to be inclusive, I like to be comprehensive, and it will just be better. So I will be tweaking this, but the first few weeks that I showed you are all totally set in stone, and it's just paragraph questions at this point that need to be tweaked in the later weeks. So everything you're seeing right here, for example, that's all fixed, won't change. And as you click on the file yourself to look at it, you'll get the updated one, because this is going to get finished by Friday of this week. So by Monday, when you actually have access to the Blackboard shell, you'll see what you're supposed to see. This, writing an annotated bibliography, it also appears under a later week. This is literally how to write an annotated bibliography, because as I mentioned in the syllabus video, you're going to need to do that for your research paper ahead of time. It's like 10% of your grade, and this is just how you want to do that. So just instructions on that, and if you have any questions, I am super duper available to answer them. So that's the housekeeping items, okay? So really, like, all the guides and things that you'll need to remember and do and look through and read and watch at the very beginning of the week are all in there. And then this discussion board is just out in the week because it's just one, and it combines these two things. So if you click on part 1, there's the book assignment. It's an item because I don't have anything scanned in there because you're going to read the book. And then this is the what is women's history article. So, and you can rotate this, I promise. But it's just a short thing on women's history, and I apologize, it was hard to scan some of these, so there are a couple sections where a couple of words are cut out, but I made sure that you can still at least get the point of everything. So, and then here are the 2 articles in the document for the second part of the week. So that's a little atypical because we're combining things into one day. Now if we take a look at week 2, for example, they're the paragraph assignments. So these are the groups, again, that you're going to be broken into and which question you would have. This is based on the Tuesday folder. This is based on the Wednesday folder. They're all due by Friday, and you'll submit them right there. So if you go into the Tuesday, the week 2, part 1, you've got the readings. So these are 2 documents, 2 primary documents, and you've got 3 articles. These are all really interesting, and I hope you like them. You can skip parts 3 and 4 of Fitzpatrick, and I think it says, yeah, everybody will read Fitzpatrick. Half the class will read Mary Beth Norton, and the other half will read Kathleen Brown. And once I know who you all are, I will post who's going to read what in this folder here, so that you'll know what you're actually supposed to read. And then I put questions for everything in here, and you'll just answer the questions that you read for if you do the discussion board for part 1. And as you can see, there are just a couple, like 2 to 3 questions per reading. And if we go to week 2, part 2, it's the same kind of deal. There's another one, another discussion board. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 articles, and then 1, 2, 3 documents. Those are combined. And again, this is split up. So everyone will read Carlson, Rosenthal in the documents. Half of you will read Brooks, and the other half will read Seed. So you're not reading all of this and answering every single one of these. Okay, so it's a summer class. We move fast. There's a lot to do, but it's not all the things. Okay, so that's how this is laid out, and it goes all the way through to the end of the semester. It's got the topics. It's got a note here that presentations and paragraphs start. Anytime there's something due, it's going to be mentioned, except for the paragraphs. It's just a note that it starts because they're throughout the semester. So, annotated bibliography, research paper. The last day of class, this is, well, how about that? It should be in there. I don't know why it's not, but that's okay. I'll put it in there. The group analysis is due by noon on Monday, July 20th. That's the last day of class. It's worth 5% of your grade. It is anonymous. A check mark will show up next to your name once you have completed it. I will go into the grade book. I will mark a 100. You literally get a 100 for 5% of your grade by doing this analysis. And it's a short survey on your experience working in groups for paragraphs. So that's that. Oh, research paper. I should show you that. That's in week 7. There are 5 questions. You pick one for your 5 to 7 research paper. Okay, and they're due Friday, July 3rd. But you've got, I'm a big fan of these, and some of them are great, some of them are good. Hopefully whatever question you pick, you could take it and make it great. It just depends on what you want to look into, and that's where the annotated bibliography is going to come in. You're going to show me that first, and I'll take a look and make some notes on it for you. Make sure you're going in the right direction. So these are the 5 questions, and like I said, you'll only pick one. You will use only scholarly sources. I mean, a lot of our articles come from JSTOR. You know, we've got documents that come from all kinds of different places. We've got, and I've lost, yeah. So we've got like all kinds of journals. You know, we've got Signs. We've got the New England Quarterly. We've got all kinds of different academic journals that our articles are coming from. So you'll need to pick those kinds of things. You have access to JSTOR through the library website, along with several other databases for researching. And you can always contact the library if you have questions as well. And you can contact me too. So that's Blackboard. I think that we covered all the things in there. Make sure you do that enrollment verification quiz. That's right there. So yeah, that's Blackboard. If you have any questions about any of that, please let me know. Just remember too that up at the top here, there's this campus safety tab. This is what to do in case of an emergency. Of course, we're not on campus, so a lot of that won't apply to us. But that's it. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to a super awesome semester.